today's video, I'm going to show you how you can change old beliefs. Before I get into the how to change them, I want to make sure everybody understands how important it is to change them. Because you might think, oh, whatever happened to me earlier on in my life doesn't affect me. I'm a new person, or I let that go. However, if you have a situation in your life right now and you're not aware of the meaning you're putting on it, those old beliefs are running your life. And let me show you what I mean. If you have a situation where maybe you go on a date and you really like the person, you're like, yeah, this is great. And you text them and they basically ghost. Or maybe you ask them at the end of the date, hey, this is really great. Do you want to do this again? And they say no. And you're like, ah. And then you think, oh, the reason they did that is because I'm not worthy. I'm not deserving. I'm not attractive, or I'll never find love. Now, that's not the objective truth of the universe. However, if you've had experiences from the past where you had a rejection, or somebody told you you were ugly or unattractive, or you felt alienated or distant from what you really wanted, that past is going to be coming up here, inserting a story into the event, and that is what is going to be placing the meaning on the situation. And yes, you could say, well, sometimes, Abby, it's not about the old story, and sometimes people really just aren't interested. Yes, that's true, and that's okay. But what story are you putting on if somebody doesn't want to go out on a date with you again? Or if somebody doesn't hire you? The event happening could be so many different things, but you've got to start becoming aware that the story that you're telling to get the meaning as to why that's happened is coming from those old beliefs. So the first part is just becoming aware that this is how we're living our life. This is the perceptions. So we've got to dive in here to those old beliefs. The first thing you can do is start to understand, how do you feel? In that example about somebody not wanting to date you, what story are you telling yourself? Okay, I'm not good enough. I never get what I want. Okay, when is the first time I experienced that? Well, when I was younger, my parents or caregivers said, you don't always get what you want. Or sometimes life just sucks and you gotta suck it up. There are these ideas that were imprinted upon you. And realize these old beliefs were primarily formed based on your perception at the time as a little kid of somebody else's expectations, their judgments of you, or their opinions on how you should be, who you should be, and what is appropriate for a kid to move in the world. From the ages of 0 to 7 years old, you're basically a giant sponge, and you're taking in all the information around you and in your environment. And not only are you taking it as that's how you human, is literally forming the synaptic connections in your brain. That is how you will see your reality. You don't see with your eyes, you see with your mind. However it was shaped early on, if you don't go back to see it with your adult mind, you're going to be stuck in that way. So first you got to start to understand, okay, what is it that I think is going to happen? One thing you could do to really get to your limiting beliefs, your old beliefs, is going to be to ask yourself, what do I honestly expect to happen from this? And this isn't a time to suppress or affirm over or say, no negative thoughts here. We want to really understand what it is you believe, because those beliefs are what you're manifesting from. Manifestation, all it means is to make visible what is invisible, to make your beliefs about what you feel about yourself and the world seen. That's all you're going to be able to perceive of in your outside world. Even though other situations could be happening, you'll block them all out. In fact, your subconscious is taking in 20 to 50 million bits of information per second, and literally your memory scans through that before it presents the 40 bits of information available to your conscious mind. Now, you cannot change your subconscious with your conscious. You can use your conscious mind to observe what the program is and then start stepping out of that program in the current moment. So what is it that you expect to happen when it comes to relationships? For me, I expected people to abandon me. I expected people to be emotionally unavailable. Now, I never stopped to think about that. I continue to try to work hard and relate to that program, to that story. I have to work hard because I expect them to not be interested. Well, really at the core of that old belief is I'm not worthy of being interested in, or I don't have anything to offer somebody. So going back to understanding, why is it that I think that I'm not interesting? Why is it that I think that no one's going to be interested? If I go back to my early on environment, understanding that I was the youngest kid in the family and I wanted to be more a part of things, and how I perceived myself in those situations and the meaning I put. At 4 years old, 6 years old, our reasoning is not good because we are in theta brainwave. It's very playful. It's, imaginative, but it doesn't have the capacity and the sophistication as beta brainwave, which we're in right now, which you don't have until you grow up and your brain matures. So if I continued to relate to what I thought happened and why it happened as a kid, I would continue responding to that belief, thinking, oh, I'm not interesting, so I better do and put on a show and be a really high level athlete so that people will be interesting. But first I got to observe, oh, I don't feel like I'm worthy of attention unless. So there's all sorts of different things that you can start to do to understand what actually is that belief. What do you expect to happen when it comes to money? Well, I expect not to have it. And if that's the case, why is that? And one secret here to understand your money dynamic is actually realize, okay, money is an energy. And money is also an energy where you can get your need met. And if you don't have money, you can't get your need met. So, okay, if you can just take the way you feel in your dynamic with money and rewind the clock. I never have enough money. I don't have the money I need. I don't expect to get it. Okay, let's rewind the clock. Oh, when I was younger, I had a lot of siblings and I always wanted more connection from my parent, but it seemed like there wasn't enough for me because there were so many of us. My parents did the best they could, but I thought it was because I didn't deserve that. There was never going to be enough for me. Remember, that's the model. You reason on it, even though right now you'd be like, oh my God, obviously that's not the case. Maybe the parent had 3 jobs and then they also had 3 kids and there was just a lot of energy demands on that one person. However, what did you see yourself? How did you see your access to getting your needs met? Maybe it was, I can't have what I need, or I can't be me and have my needs met. The more you start to unravel what actually your belief is, you can rewind. When you rewind, you can take that implicit memory, pull it out and say, oh, actually, no, the whole reason I believe this isn't even founded in an objective reality. I realized it had nothing to do with me. All this time, I was relating my current life through the old energy and the old beliefs of my past. It was a very subjective experience, reasoned from a brain that didn't have the capacity to really understand the big picture. The awareness of that belief and why it was formed, because when you can understand why it was formed, you can start cutting the roots of this. And this is a lot of times when people try to change their life right now. Maybe you do have an experience where you keep getting rejected and you're like, no, I'm going to affirm, I'm going to affirm, and I'm going to affirm, and I'm going to affirm, and I'm going to persist. But really, underneath all of that, the belief never changes. You can't affirm over a belief. It's like trying to put a new plant on top of another plant. The new plant doesn't have access to the soil, and the old plant keeps growing because it's still planted. So it's not until you start to uproot the old, which is going to be through awareness and starting to see that that wasn't actually true. You've always deserved, you've always been worthy, and whatever the caregiver was experiencing at the time had nothing to do with you. Then you start to really think, okay, how do I feel about myself? What new belief could I replace? Because you got to do both. You got to use visualizations and affirmations to help you build up the new belief, but you've also got to start uprooting the old one. And a huge part of this is going to be in the moment. And I talk a lot on my channel about ABC. Becoming aware of that old story, the meaning you're trying to put on the situation, become aware of it. Breathe, because you're going to want to respond to the formation of that old story that I can't get my need met, that there's scarcity, there's not enough for me. I'm going to start getting a lot of energy in my body because I'm afraid, because at the time I was powerless. Realize now you have the power. You have the ability to take care of yourself and to keep yourself safe. And as you use breathing to help calm your body and stay in your body and respond to the present moment, you'll have the ability to make a new choice. A choice, basically those new beliefs that you are worthy, you're deserving, you never did anything to lose that, you can be you and have what you need and want. The more you do this, the more you literally restructure your brain, and those synaptic connections that were formed one way, being present allows you to tap into the power of neuroplasticity, which means that your brain can physically change. And remember, you don't see the world with your eyes, you see it with your brain. And when you change the brain that you have, you're literally going to be able to see a new reality, perceive of different experiences, start to change your feelings, which are the magnetic aspect of things. You will allow yourself to create an entirely different experiences simply by becoming aware, staying in the present moment, and starting to make a new choice. The more and more you do this, the more you are creating that ideal version of you. If you want a little bit more support on believing you're worthy and deserving now, this next video right here is going to help you. Thank you so much for watching. I love y'all. If you like this video, click like. If you haven't done so already, join the community, and I will see you on the next one.